hated that son of a. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Roberto Duran, he was more intimidating than Mike Tyson. He was like at the press conference.
Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't just a champion. He was a perfectionist. Fast, intelligent, and intensely competitive, Leonard hated losing control inside the ring. And while he respected greatness, there were certain fighters whose styles, mind games, or sheer danger brought out his deepest frustration. At 69, looking back honestly on his career and the men who pushed him to the edge, Leonard acknowledged that not every rivalry was fueled by admiration. Some were fueled by discomfort, fear, and pure competitive hatred. These are the 10 boxers Sugar Ray Leonard hated the most, not because they were bad fighters, but because they were the hardest to deal with. 10. Terry Norris. Terry Norris represented a future version of boxing that Sugar Ray Leonard never fully embraced. Norris was fast, strong, and physically imposing, but what bothered Leonard most was Norris's relentless, almost mechanical pressure. Norris didn't fight with the rhythm Leonard preferred. Instead, he disrupted timing and forced constant movement. Leonard disliked fighters who imposed their will physically without allowing space for creativity. Norris wasn't emotional, wasn't flashy, and didn't react to intimidation. That made him difficult to read. Leonard respected Norris's accomplishments, but stylistically, Norris symbolized the kind of fighter Leonard would rather avoid. Someone who turned elegance into survival. That discomfort is what fueled Leonard's quiet resentment. 9. Donald Curry. Donald Curry frustrated Leonard because of his discipline and emotional control. Curry didn't engage in trash talk, didn't chase knockouts recklessly, and didn't overextend himself. Leonard thrived on psychological dominance, and Curry gave him nothing to work with. Curry fought with patience and structure, denying Leonard the opportunity to dictate tempo. Leonard disliked fighters who made bouts feel like technical exercises rather than emotional battles. Curry's calm demeanor stripped away theatrics and forced pure boxing decisions. For Leonard, that removed an edge he relied on. Curry wasn't hated personally. He was hated because he neutralized Leonard's strengths quietly and efficiently. 8. Wilfred Benitez. Wilfred Benitez may have frustrated Leonard more than almost anyone. Benitez was defensive brilliance personified, slipping punches, blocking combinations, and slowing fights down deliberately. Leonard hated being forced to think every second. Benitez refused to be rushed, refused to be baited, and refused to fight Leonard's fight. His ring IQ was so advanced that Leonard couldn't rely on speed alone. Every exchange felt calculated, draining Leonard mentally. Benitez made Leonard work harder than he wanted to, and that constant chess match wore on him. Leonard admired Benitez's intelligence, but hated how it denied him control and momentum. 7. Aaron Pryor. Aaron Pryor terrified Leonard stylistically, and that fear bred resentment. Pryor was chaos incarnate, non-stop pressure, awkward angles, and unpredictable attacks. Leonard hated fighters who didn't respect pacing or structure. Pryor never gave opponents time to breathe, think, or reset. Leonard later admitted that Pryor was a matchup he actively avoided, not out of weakness, but because Pryor represented everything Leonard disliked. There was no rhythm to exploit, no mental leverage to gain. Pryor's intensity removed Leonard's comfort zone entirely. That uncontrollable energy made Pryor a nightmare in Leonard's mind. 6. Thomas Hearns. Thomas Hearns was Leonard's equal, and that made him dangerous. Hearns possessed devastating power, height, reach, and precision. Leonard hated how one mistake against Hearns could end everything instantly. Fighting Hearns required perfection, and Leonard despised being forced into constant caution. Hearns demanded Leonard's full attention at all times. Their rivalry was respectful, but emotionally intense. Leonard hated the tension Hearns created, the knowledge that brilliance alone wouldn't save him. Hearns represented vulnerability, and Leonard never liked being reminded that he was human. 5. Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler exhausted Leonard physically and mentally. Hagler never stopped coming, never backed down, and never allowed Leonard to relax. Leonard hated Hagler's discipline, the way he absorbed punishment without complaint and kept moving forward. Hagler didn't chase Leonard. He hunted him patiently. Leonard disliked how Hagler turned fights into wars of attrition, draining stamina and focus. Hagler wasn't impressed by flash or speed. He demanded grit. That relentless pressure forced Leonard into survival mode, which he deeply resented. 4. Roberto Duran. No fighter got under Leonard's skin like Roberto Duran. Duran attacked Leonard mentally before the first bell even rang. He insulted him, mocked him, and invaded his personal space. Leonard hated how Duran challenged his pride and manhood openly. Duran's physical roughness inside the ring made matters worse. Elbows, body shots, constant pressure. Leonard felt disrespected, and that fueled emotional reactions that cost him control. Their rivalry went beyond boxing. Leonard didn't just hate fighting Duran. He hated how Duran made him feel. 3. Alexis Arguello. Alexis Arguello unnerved Leonard because he was the embodiment of quiet menace. Arguello didn't boast, didn't taunt, and didn't engage in psychological games. He let his precision do the talking. Every punch, every movement was calculated, delivered with deadly accuracy and complete composure. Leonard hated opponents who removed the mental battlefield from the fight because it forced him to rely solely on skill and instinct, with no room for intimidation or trickery. Arguello's calm demeanor was disarming. He gave nothing away, revealing no emotion and no vulnerability. Leonard thrived on controlling the fight, dictating pace and rhythm, and Arguello denied him that control entirely. Facing Arguello mentally exhausted Leonard even before the first bell. The frustration stemmed from the impossibility of predicting him, of setting traps that would never succeed. To Leonard, Arguello represented the ultimate challenge, a fighter who forced him to confront raw, calculated skill with no psychological advantage to exploit. 2. Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson was the standard Leonard chased his entire career, but that admiration carried a heavy burden. From the moment Leonard stepped into the ring, Robinson's name loomed over him like a shadow. Every achievement, every victory, was inevitably compared to the perfect fighter of a previous era. Leonard hated how Robinson's legacy created impossible expectations. Fans and pundits constantly measured him against Robinson's perfection, leaving Leonard feeling under relentless scrutiny. This wasn't personal hatred toward the man. Robinson had long since passed his prime. But Leonard resented the idea of being constantly overshadowed. Every time Leonard trained, fought, or strategized, he felt the ghost of Robinson whispering, challenging, judging. The frustration built quietly over decades. To Leonard, Robinson symbolized not only boxing greatness, but the pressure of living up to a standard that could never truly be met. The hatred here is nuanced, a mix of envy, frustration, and the deep psychological weight of comparison that haunted him throughout his career. 1. Floyd Mayweather Sr. At the very top of Leonard's most hated list wasn't a single fighter, but an entire philosophy of boxing. The ultra-defensive style epitomized by Floyd Mayweather Sr. and his protégés. Leonard, a fighter who thrived on creativity, courage, and psychological warfare, found this type of boxing frustrating to the extreme. Fighters who prioritized avoidance over confrontation removed the heart, risk, and drama from the sport. Leonard despised being forced into a fight where he couldn't engage fully, where every punch was met with retreat or evasive mastery. He admired technical brilliance, yes, but he loathed a style that reduced boxing to a cautious chess match, stripped of daring and spectacle. In Leonard's eyes, this approach challenged the very definition of boxing as a courageous sport. It wasn't personal animosity toward Mayweather Jr. or Sr., but a deep, philosophical frustration. Leonard believed boxing should thrill, dominate, and challenge the soul, not merely survive. To him, this style embodied everything he hated about riskless victory. Sugar Ray, Leonard's hatred, was never about bitterness. It was about competition. These fighters represented threats to his control, his confidence, and his image as boxing's golden standard. They forced him to dig deeper, think harder, and sometimes confront fear itself. And in the end, that's what makes Leonard's career legendary. He didn't just face fighters he liked, he faced the ones he hated most.